Yeah, look, I will take the opportunity to welcome all those people who are just joining our chat. If you could just share it by swiping down on Android and left to right on Apple devices, that would be great. So we've just had a question there, if you're ready to get started with the cinematography aspect of things. We've been asked, what's the difference between cinematography and videography?
Well, the thing is that back in sort of 10 years ago or 20 years ago, what would happen is that you'd have a videographer turn up to the wedding and set up a couple of cameras and record the wedding from a tripod. Now that was all great because you're capturing it, and the sound and the visual quality should be quite nice, and it's a great thing to have, because I think if you know someone who's got a wedding video from a few years back, from 10 or 20 years back, it's a very nice thing to have. However, what happened just over the last sort of 5 to 10 years is that suddenly filmmakers have introduced more cinematic aspects into wedding films. So
sorry, just for those of us who don't know technical terms, what would you call cinematic aspects?
Yeah, it's things like camera movement, sequencing. So camera movement, it could be a camera moving from side to side, or it could be a camera moving towards somebody or with somebody. And those camera movements, they make everything more three-dimensional, and they give a lot of energy and sort of vibrance to the image, and it ends up being something that is a lot more exciting and engaging to watch. And that's really what's really become very popular about wedding cinematography, is that it's a lot more visually engaging and exciting to watch. And there's guys out there these days who are creating wedding films that really look like Hollywood movies, and they have similar production values in terms of the beautiful images. And so we've got movement is one, which I've said. We've got sequencing. So sequencing is where, instead of having a long shot, which might be about 10 seconds or 20 seconds, you break that up into 3 or 4 shots, and you use storytelling to capture different angles, and that once again makes it a lot more exciting and visually pleasing and artistic to watch, because you can see, for example, the cinematographer might create a bit of curiosity or intrigue by just showing a very close-up shot where you're not quite sure exactly what's happening, but he's doing that on purpose because he's trying to get your interest in the shot.
Oh, okay. So as opposed to video cinematography using all the movements and things like that, it creates more emotion rather than just following, on a tripod filming the day.
Well, emotion, it can create more emotion. It's visually more diverse. It creates more energy, and it creates more interest, and it's just much more exciting to watch. It's more creative, you can go and shoot from different angles instead of just having the one shot.
Yeah. So is video for your wedding completely outdated? Is everybody going for cinematography nowadays?
Well, the funny thing is that different people in the industry use different terminologies. There's some videographers that are, actually capturing cinematic style films, and there's some cinematographers that are probably using more of a video style. So it starts to become very complicated, because unless you know what you're looking for, you sometimes don't exactly see, what the person is actually creating. But a lot of the time, it's a mix of the two styles, but these days leaning a lot more towards the cinematic style.
Yeah, so as with photography, it seems that you do have to get to know your videographer and find out their style equally as much as you need to get to know your client.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when you look at the work online, there should be a certain amount of you know, obviously experience and you know, craft in their work, and so you should be able to see the difference quite.
So I had these friends of a friend who was shooting in northern New South Wales. They had the most ideal location set out. It was on these cliff tops, beautiful area, overlooking the ocean, the most amazing place you could think of for a wedding, except it was pissing down rain for about 3 days before the wedding. So I arrived at the bride's house while she was getting her makeup done, and she was a wreck. She hadn't slept in 3 days. All she could think about was the fact that it was just going to rain and the whole wedding was over. It ended up getting to a point when she just went, you know what, screw it. Everyone's going to get wet, and that's that. They just got to deal with it. I hope they brought umbrellas. And so I was like, yeah, that's the attitude. Screw it. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. Let's just have fun. And so we, as I drove down there, I got there about 5 minutes before the bride, and it was just sort of sprinkling, and they were still setting up the area. And literally, as the father of the groom put these prayer flags into the ground, which was sort of the arbor for behind the bride and groom, the clouds just parted and the sun started sort of trickling through the clouds. As the bride arrived, the rain had all but stopped, and as she came down the aisle, the sun sort of just miraculously came out, and everyone, there was an audible gasp. Everyone knew that something special had just happened. And then, as if that wasn't crazy enough, during the ceremony itself, she actually, while they were saying their vows, this full arch rainbow came out over the ocean in the background. So we're standing there with the whole crowd. You've got the bride and groom, these prayer flags, ocean in the background, and a storm still brewing, and this massive full arch rainbow over the horizon. So we were all just shocked. It was like, this is actually miraculous. It's been a horrible 3 days of rain, and now we've got possibly the most beautiful scene we've ever seen. So we thought that's fabulous. Straight after the ceremony, everyone starts coming in and wants to give hugs and kisses, and it's all, everyone's the happiest they've probably ever been. Unfortunately, I had found out before that the groom's mother had died 3 months earlier, so that was quite a sad thing for the groom to go through, to have organised a wedding with her in mind, her expected to be there, and then she had actually passed before the day, so it was quite sad. But while they were all hugging and kissing, the father was hugging both of them at the same time, and I was kind of shooting there, and I overheard him, and he just said into both their ears, I just knew that your mother would I just knew that your mother would make it. And it was really, really, really sweet, and I was so happy to be there, to be able to capture such a beautiful moment for them. And straight away afterwards, we had to get all the family shots. We got it in front of the rainbow because it was almost like the mother was now in the family shots. And then quickly hurried into a car and got back to the reception. And man, the party was massive that night, because we knew that we'd witnessed something really, really special. And to this day, it's one of the most memorable moments for a wedding for me.